Hey everybody. Oh, come on. Uh, anyway, Cersei here, bringing you another episode of Gaming Archaeology. This time with Crash Bandicoot 3, aka Crash Bandicoot Warped. Um, and as always, I am defeated by attract modes in video games. Let's just go right into it. Of the games that I've picked to do episodes on, this is probably one of the more well-known, but still it doesn't really have the same, cultural prominence as a lot of, bigger games out there. It's also known for being not that good, but I've always felt that Crash Bandicoot kind of got short shrift. I thought it was fine. Not great, but fine. Yes, you can tell that the villain's plan is in motion because his evil laugh can be heard from any place on Earth.
Evil, great evil has come.
I'm not going to give this game much credit on its cutscenes, though. Hopefully I'm not drowning it out too badly. You're not missing much, though. We gonna turn the lights on or anything?
It was that infernal Bandicoot. From deep inside my temple prison, I sent you simple instructions to follow. But you lost the gems, you lost the crystals, and I have lost my patience.
But now, after 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth.
I know we've had a few unfortunate setbacks and failed. But since your bumbling has managed to set me free, I am feeling generous. There is still a way for us to amass the power needed to enslave this miserable planet.
No, seriously. It's time to conquer Earth.
We'll make sure that you do it right. After many eons, my evil twin, Uka Uka, has been freed from his underground prison.
Isn't this a little bit redundant?
I locked him there to protect the world from his malice. Now, free once again, he must be stopped.
See, now, this is an interesting thing.
So, Uka Uka and Cortex plan to use this time-twisting machine to gather crystals that lay scattered across time.
We need to collect
I have
MacGuffins.
brought you here to recover the crystals before they do so. To open the time portal, simply stand on a button and then jump into the portal.
So why exactly did they just make a level hub for us to run around in? We saw the bad guys standing here, so this is like obviously part of their base. Shouldn't it be guarded? Like, why is this my hub? I don't know. That seems weird. But yeah, a weird thing I noticed watching this cutscene. This is a very straightforward game with really no more plot than a typical NES game. But here's more.
Crash, crash. Why must you always muck in my mud? Oh, look, I have a mask helping me, too. We will find out which one is more powerful soon enough.
I mean, there's nothing to these characters. They have less personality than Bowser and Mario. Okay, that's not entirely fair. Bowser and Mario have developed a lot of personality. But yeah. Crash isn't exactly much for talking. But yeah, this is a very plot-like game. But it ends up getting like this really, not super long, but a fairly involved cutscene for what is basically bad guy free, wants to get MacGuffins, get them first. That's it. That took me 10 seconds. And I guess it's interesting how, one thing that characterized this era of games is kind of the increasing cost of developing like scenes, like non-video game media surrounding the game. You know, the cutscenes, making it a little more cinematic, even in a very simple game like this, which is interesting, and probably you know, something that kind of remained part of games, even games that kind of went back to more retro. I guess it's kind of it became more of a common practice to actually explain what's going on a little more, which I guess isn't a terrible thing. I mean, Mario didn't even, you know, Mario 1 didn't even really bother to establish anything. So, I don't know. It's just a shame that this was kind of the era that set games, mainstream games, on becoming way more expensive to create. But, you know. So I guess I haven't actually said anything about the game yet. I mean, you've seen basically what this game is about. And so, like I said, this game is not, or this series, I guess, is not really terribly well regarded. And I guess that probably a big part of that is the structure that it chose, which is a fair point, I think. I've heard some thoughts along these lines. Crash Bandicoot is a game that displays very little ambition. You can see that, and this goes back to, you know, the original Crash Bandicoot 1, which is very much the same structure as this game. They're very similar, and they're getting right into the water levels, though. This is very early to toss us into that, which this is also not at all like the main game. Although I do think that, surprisingly enough, Crash Bandicoot handles water levels better than some better games out there, I would say, in that it manages to not be super annoying. But yeah, like, you had when you think of games that really changed what it meant to be a 3D game and really establish what it meant to be a 3D platformer. Of course, everyone thinks of Super Mario 64, and of course, it's easy to forget nowadays that what Super Mario 64 did was really a game changer, because it was, you know, it stayed close to its Mario roots, you know, as a platforming game, but adding that third dimension changed so much about what a platformer is and how it works, and required them to really rethink so much of how the game functions. And you can see that Crash Bandicoot goes for a much more conservative approach to handling the issue of 3D, which couldn't really be ignored. When, you know, 3D was all the rage, there was a huge demand for 3D games. You know, people were all hyped up about it, even if it did kind of look like total garbage. And you can probably see, like, the developers behind this game were, I guess, really not up to the challenge of making a game like Super Mario 64, which I don't actually know if Crash Bandicoot came before or after. I don't know, because Super Mario 64 was pretty early. If I was a better Let's Player, I might have actually researched this beforehand, but I didn't. You're welcome. So as you can see, like, what they did is they kind of made essentially a very constrained platformer. It's not exactly just a 2D platformer. Well, I mean, what you're looking at right now is very much 2D in its design. They didn't even really attempt to go full 3D in any capacity with these underwater levels, which is probably all the better, I would say. Also, important fact, if you don't collect those glowing crystals, you kind of just wasted your time, because that's the whole reason that that you're going through the levels, to collect the crystals. It kind of seems like a weird I don't want to say busy work because it doesn't take any extra effort. It's just if you skip the crystal, you've screwed yourself out of completing the level. It's a weird detail and seems pretty unnecessary to me. It could just be an end of level reward. Oh, you're very proud of yourself, Crash. But yeah, so they went with this thing where I did get this crystal right. I'm not sure how far we're gonna go. But we should at least be able to complete the first world. And I guess they're introducing like all the special type levels in the first area, which is not a terrible idea, I guess. Here we're actually gonna be doing a auto scroller, I guess. But yeah, and you can see like this design removes a lot of the complications of 3D, 3D platforming. You don't have to worry about the camera; it just kind of stays behind and follows you. You're not free to roam. You basically it's almost like 2D with like planes, kind of like a beat 'em up where you can walk up and down. This is something you could do in 2D if you were really bound and determined, although you'd probably want to make it side-scrolling instead. Trying to keep this perspective with 2D would probably make it look like serious garbage. So, but yeah, so that's, I guess, one of the main things, and I think that I don't even want to say for sure that that the reputation that this game has is totally undeserved. I think that it's kind of regarded as, like, it didn't do terribly. I mean, they got multiple sequels, but it's just kind of a very, it doesn't really innovate, it doesn't try anything unusual, but I definitely enjoyed this game as a kid. And one thing which we're not really going to get to see is that this game actually has a fair bit of secrets, and it's actually possible to like unlock a secret extra world and go through like time trials to collect like golden clocks. If you like collectibles, this game you can actually already see. Or not the clocks, I guess. You see these onks for the time trials. You've got, I think, what was it, like blue, silver, and gold, or something like that. So there's actually a wealth of content, and just a wealth of things you can do through the course of this game.
Uga Uga and Cortex want Tiny get crystals and bring them to big Colosseum in Rome. Crash, leave them for Tiny, or Crash get crushed.
They really had to justify that voice acting budget, I guess. I don't think that guy has any more lines, because I think we're going to kill him at the end of this world. He might get lines before the big boss fight. I don't know. But yeah, so I guess I'm kind of split on this. I will say that I don't think that this game really does anything wrong. It's just really not, it's a competent, straightforward platformer. Although running forward while you can't see ahead of you is a little bit of a pain here. But, minor thing. But yeah, so it's also if you collect 3 of these masks, you get an invincible. The masks basically act as like extra hits, because otherwise you die in one hit. Admittedly, one of the appeals of this game is seeing the hilarious ways in which Crash can die horribly, which is always fun. I don't know if I want to intentionally show that off. Also, I'm ignoring these question marks because they basically just go through these little side bonus levels. I guess I can show you one of these. you're really mostly interested in these if you want to 100% the level. If you get all the boxes in a level, you might have seen you get a white crystal, a white gem, which of course is a major collectible, an optional collectible that you want to get if you're really committed to getting 100%. Wait, come on, I can do this. I could swear there was a slide. Oh god, this is slow. Okay, so yeah, I guess there's not a lot here to really inspire someone to kind of go back and dig this game up, other than nostalgia, which I admit probably a big reason why I kind of wanted to come back to this game. Especially, like, there is no dearth of platformers in the world, and you know, the big cannot jump. The big motivating force behind playing these games at the time was, you know, it's in 3D. You know, you have to abandon all of the paltry 2 dimensions given to you in the old days to embrace the glorious new 2D, which, you know, glorious new 3D is what I meant. Which, you know, people are not as enamored by 3D nowadays, and it's pretty widely acknowledged that these games have not aged well. So, you know, if you think that this game is just not worth going back to on account of that, you know, it's hard to argue with that. But I think it's all right. And this one probably of the series, I'd say this one is probably the one that's most worth playing, I guess, just because there's a lot of collectibles and it's kind of I feel like this one's a little more polished, a little more, you know, fleshed out. Although it's hard to say because I haven't played the other previous games as much. There was also a PS2 sequel to this game, which they dropped off using numbers real quick. That one was like Crash Bandicoot. Other adjective? I don't know. This one's warped. That one was I can't even remember. That one did not seem as good to me for some reason. I don't know why. I have to say, like, one thing that's easy for me to forget in retrospect is the fact that they did actually attempt to put in a lot of variety here. Like, they've got, you know, the underwater levels, they've got the Tiger auto-scrollers, they've got wave race, basically. This is this is like a completely different game than the whole like, that's interesting. This is like not even really much of any kind of relation to the gameplay. There are a few of these. The one I remember as being really not very good was the plane one where you're flying a plane and you're shooting down other planes. I remember that one being a huge pain. I think it may have been the time trial. Time trials of anything that has like random or kind of finicky behavior is really honestly a huge nightmare. As I'm sure players of Sonic Adventure 2 can attest. Nobody liked doing time trials of the Knuckles levels. I will go to bat for that game, but I will not defend that part. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. So here we come to the first boss, and I think he might have a speech for us.
Crash! Coco! Store the pretty crystals! Tiny, take them back! In Gladiator Arena!
$15 well spent. But yeah, I actually I especially like the boss fights in Crash games, and it's weird to say because they're very simplistic and very not very challenging, but they're all different. They all kind of do something unique, which for kind of like a B tier game is actually kind of surprising. Like bosses can often be kind of phoned in, and these are no great shakes. But like there are I guess there are boss focused games, and there are games where the bosses are kind of an afterthought. And this is definitely one of those where the bosses are very much not the focus. There's not really a lot put into them. But the least the game can do, if you're gonna have it where the boss is not a major focus, is just kind of have it be a refreshing change of pace. And I think that really shines through. Is it's not anything super special, but they're all different. They're all kind of interesting, and they all kind of give you a little break from the usual as far as Crash Bandicoot goes. And as you can see, you unlock new abilities from bosses, which I'm sure you would agree makes this game technically a Metroidvania.
Children. By defeating Tiny, you have unlocked the gate to the next time travel area. Go back to the center of this time twister and save your progress if you wish. From there, you will see that the gate to the second time travel area is now open.
Okay, yeah. We're also entering the era of games where they feel the need to explain to you like you're 5 years old what to do. Actually, that's probably not giving enough credit to 5-year-olds. I mean, come on. Walk back to the middle. Then find the open door. Walk into it. Also, the big giant screen that says load save can be used to load or save. I probably shouldn't have done that because now we're gonna have to sit here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Game? Okay. That was way too long. Alright, but yeah, so, I mean, that's pretty much what Crash Bandicoot is about, and you can kind of see, the game very much lays its cards on the table. Like, you got 5 levels in this area, and then a boss fight, and then 5 levels and a boss fight, and so on and so forth and so on. So you get to the end, and then you fight the final boss. And it's a very much a straightforward game, despite the, I'd say, fairly unnecessary cutscenes and voice acting. It's very much a classic approach to games where you're just presented with levels and you just play them at the start and then you go to the end. And we could go into the next world, but we've got a good 20 minutes in, and I think you kind of get the gist of what this game is all about. There's not much more to it. It's just a fun little romp. I will say there's a little more to it, but I would have to play a lot longer to get to the bazooka, which I would like to show off, but time constraints and all. And I don't think I'm gonna do like a full let's play of this one. It's really not worth it. I might still play this a little bit. I don't know. There's a lot of games I could go back and play, which I kind of haven't really. So it's a fun little game. It's not. This isn't button activated, by the way. I just stand in front of it, and then it apparently decided to do that. But yeah, it's just a straightforward, fun little game, and I would say it's nothing special, but I'd say it's like worth $15-20. Probably wasn't worth the original retail price, whatever it was, $50-60. This is a rental, really. Back in the day when that was a thing, this would have been a rental. But yeah, so that's it for Crash Bandicoot. I do have the other games in the series slated, or at least Crash Bandicoot 2. I'm not entirely sure why, because they're all kind of the same. So I might just say that we have enough Crash Bandicoots on our plate. Did I get? I think we're done with this episode. I think I'm legitimately stuck. That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, then please comment below, tell me what you think, and also you can drop a few bucks in my Patreon. The link will be in the video description below. You can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing below. That's where it'll be. And so, and hopefully I'll get back into the swing of things. I've been very distracted with emulator stuff and all kinds of stuff like that, but I hope to get back to this because I do enjoy making these videos. So yep, I will see you next time. Bye bye.